Hello everyone, this is Jason from Primetime Aquatics, and today I wanted to show you the coolest aquascapes of Aquashella Dallas. You are going to see some awesome stuff. I hope you enjoy the video. Appreciate you being here.
So I wanted to start with this booth. This is the Fish Gallery. They had a number of very nicely aquascape tanks. They really stepped up their game. They always have some interesting stuff going on at the Aquashellas, at least the ones in Dallas. And here we have even more to look at besides the large circular tank, which I will show you in a moment, that we've seen in the past. So this was probably my favorite overall when it comes to aquascaping and the tanks that we saw. And you're going to see some nice ones. And so the focus on this video is really going to be about the awesome looking tanks. And as Aquashella matures, we're seeing more and more really nice high-end aquascape tanks. This being one of them. Great use of the Priscilla Tetras. This was about, I would say, I don't know exactly, but maybe a 65 or 70 gallon tank, somewhere in there. But the depth of it was just absolutely something. And this was not the only tank they had at the booth. There's a few more I wanted to show you. This was another really nice one. I didn't even see these other ones until later in the show. And in fact, I had missed these the first day of filming. And this was, again, it's just a nice use of wood. I really like the feel of this tank overall. You can see here, the fish are fitting in well. They look relaxed. And I just absolutely love the use of Anubias in this tank. Still in the Fish Gallery booth, this was really cool. This was a tank for some neons, and it just really showed off the fish well. Again, nice use of plants. I love the use of the dragonstone. It just, if this were me, I don't think I would ever think to use it in such a way. And of course, it wouldn't be a Fish Gallery booth without the big circular tank, many hundreds of gallons. Very unique choice this year. They went with the blind cave fish. Now let's move on to the other booth that is always a star of the show, and that is the Oasis Booth. So many aquascapes. This first one, that was the tank that Joanna did for the booth, but there are so many to see and so many to look at of all shapes and sizes. And the really cool thing is, if you ever go to an Aquashella, they actually do a silent auction for these tanks. So if you're interested in one, you can bid on them and you get the tank, you get all the aquascape, they'll drain it and just keep enough water in there so the plants stay alive and you can take it home. I also really like that in the Oasis booth. They've got some of the blackwater tanks there with a lot of the botanicals. There's this one, and then Melanie did another one that you're going to see a little bit later on. And there's something so wonderful about these tanks because they have such a natural feel. For those of you who love red plants, this was a really cool tank. Had a lot more color in person. This next one I wanted to show you, this was another one of those dark water, black water tanks with a lot of the botanicals. Love the use of these gold tetras. We've had these in our fish room as well, and they're just amazing fish. They don't quite get enough attention, and I think they should. And we'll probably talk more about these fish in a future video, just because I think they're a fish that a lot of people would appreciate. This might have been my favorite tank in this booth. I absolutely love it. It was a larger tank, so it was quite a bit larger than the ones you've seen so far, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 or 50 gallons at least. This was done by Jeff, and he always does an amazing job. Every single Aquashella, it's just one of the tanks. When he does a tank, you really need to stop by and take a look at it. I really like the fact that he used black neons. Again, the scape really is the focal point here, and those black neons show off that scape so well. It was a very well done tank. This was George Farmer's tank. Very cool looking, like the use of the ground cover and the plants. Had a very natural feel to it. So those two booths, the Fish Gallery, Oasis, those were definitely booths that you need to see. This was the Aquascaping Contest, and this tank was my favorite, and it won first place. Absolutely amazing. This was done by Grant and Shelby, and they did an absolutely marvelous job with this tank. The use of the moss and the substrate, the backlighting, everything about this tank was absolutely fantastic. As you walk through there, it was very clear that this one was a standout and certainly one of my favorite tanks overall at Aquashella. And Joanna and I, well, technically it was just really Joanna, but it was Joanna and I that got to enter a tank in this Aquascaping Contest. Kind of at the last minute, we were notified a week beforehand, and this is what she did. She actually won an award for the best use of hardscape, so congratulations to her. The only role I had in there is sometimes I would brush the sand off of the rocks and the wood, and I put the substrate in. So if you really like the way the substrate looks, that was me. If you don't like it, it was still me. But it was fun being able to scape one of these larger tanks and have her be able to do it as well. There were others in this competition, and here is another one. I will say I actually didn't film. I think it was a tank that might have won second place. When I walked by, it was cloudy, and as will happen often with most of the tanks, when you set them up, usually within 24 hours they get cloudy, you water change them, and they look wonderful. Well, when I walked by, it hadn't been water changed yet like the rest of them had been, and so I didn't get that one on video, but it was a really awesome tank, as are the rest of these, and I'm kind of disappointed I left that one out. This was another, I believe it was a top 3 finisher. Again, I might be getting second and third place mixed up. I know Grant and Shelby won first. This tank and the other one I had mentioned before had won second and third. I don't remember exactly the order, but it was very well done. Love the use of the wood. Here is another entry in the Aquascaping Contest. Also a very nice looking tank. Then there was the Creator Challenge. There were 9 different creators. They basically went in groups of 3. Joanna did a tank. I will show you that in a few minutes. This was one of them. I think this might have been the first place finisher. Very nice. This might have been second. Again, I could be getting them confused, first and second, but this was a very well done tank, and a lot of the creators did a great job. They were actually on a stage. It was being live streamed through the Aquashella YouTube channel. And this is Joanna's tank right here. And it's when you're doing it live and you have the tank facing away from you, it can be a little bit of a challenge, and they all did such a great job. The one thing I will say about Aquashella is, as time has passed, and Aquashella began in 2018, we are now at 2022. Of course, we had about a year off with all the everything being shut down, but as you start to see how Aquashella has developed over the years, there is so much more to see and so much more to look at than there was previous to, certainly in the first couple years. And please keep in mind, I am just showing you basically the tanks that were aquascaped and some of the standouts. There was a lot more to see. I'm not really showing you any of the fish that were for sale. I'm not showing you any of the other booths and all the things available. So please understand, there is so much more that I'm not showing you in this video. I think Joanna's going to do a video, kind of a behind the scenes of Aquashella on her channel, the Smallscape. You'll definitely want to check that out. This was the Jbj Booth. Loved what these guys did. It was a little warm in there on Saturday. They actually took a bunch of water bottles, put them in a tank that had a chiller on it. There wasn't any fish in there, but they just filled it with water, chilled it, and then everybody could get free water. It was a really cool thing. It was very thoughtful of them to do. This was another booth that I enjoyed quite a bit. And what was interesting is they had a product, a device that would actually allow for steam to basically cover the top of the water surface, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then normally when you do that, so this is what I'm talking about. Normally it's kind of a lot of times you can produce this using dry ice. Obviously you're not going to put dry ice in an aquarium, but they did have a device that would allow them to do that. So it was pretty interesting that they did that. It was a very nice setup here. This was the custom aquariums tank. The use of the big fake tree, kind of cool. Like that a lot. They had some tiger barbs in here, some angelfish, some gouramis. So there was a lot going on here, but it's a nice tank. It's a sizable tank. It was cool with that big tree. I at least had to show one tank with some monster fish. There were some bichers in here and some gar. Really interesting, huge tank. So that was Aquashella Dallas 2022. Would love to hear from you. What was your favorite aquascape? What was your favorite tank that you saw in the video? Appreciate you being here, and we'll see you in the next one.